and entered the lobby of the auditorium. It was only slightly less sticky inside. No air conditioning. School was out. No one was supposed to be using this auditorium this time of year. Access, Riley thought to himself. Who would have access? Riley moved cautiously. He was new to this job, but not to crime scenes. He had been an assistant U.S. attorney, a federal prosecutor, for many years, and had spent most of the time working on a street gang that was no stranger to violence. Riley groaned at the number of law enforcement officials inside the place. Fewer was always better, but as he looked around, he realized that little would be gained from all of the fingerprint dusting going on around him. This was an auditorium, with a decent-sized lobby and a massive theater that, including the balcony, could probably house several thousand people. It would be easier to figure out who hadn't left their prints. To the side of the lobby, a door opened. The door, presumably leading to the basement and the maintenance locker where the bodies were found. An officer stepped out and lifted his gas mask, with its charcoal-impregnated odor filter, just before he vomited on the floor. Paul found himself instantly wishing for city cops. As a former federal prosecutor, he had a built-in bias against the city cops, too, but anything was preferable, in his mind, to a suburban cop. But jurisdiction was jurisdiction. He wasn't working with the FBI anymore. Riley took the gas mask from the spent officer, who was wiping at his mouth. He told the officer to clean up the mess and get some fresh air. He then took a deep breath and opened the access door. It was a wide staircase, the steps filthy with shoe prints. He kept his hands off the wooden railing. He hit the landing and turned for the final set of stairs. There were only 2 uniforms down there when Riley reached the basement. One of them was in the elevator, which had been shut down. The initial flurry of fingerprinting and photographing had probably already happened. It was a wide hallway with several heavy doors propped open, several storage rooms already combed over with no results. Riley moved down the hall to the last room in the hallway, the room that mattered, feeling his pace slow. He steeled himself before he took one shuffle step into that last doorway. The room was large, with rows of chain-link lockers and shelving units, all containing chemicals and cleaning supplies, mops and brooms, and an oversized garbage can with sprayers containing purple and blue fluids attached. And on the floor, lined up, posed, arms at their sides, legs together, were 6 corpses. How to explain? People always said, words can't describe. That wasn't true. He just wouldn't have known where to begin or end. He had seen pictures of Dachau and Auschwitz, but those were photographs, capturing the horror and desperation in only 2 dimensions. He tried it as a defense mechanism, tried to think of these 6 butchered girls as photos on a page, ignoring the upheaval in his stomach and the adrenaline pounding through his body. He fought to keep his breathing even, his mind clinical. The first victim was blonde, seemingly a beautiful young girl, though the yellowish hue to her skin made her look more like a wax statue. The blow to her skull could only vaguely be seen from her angled head, near the scalp. Far more prominent was the wound to her chest, where her heart had once been. Calling it a wound was insufficient. It was like the life had been ripped from her. Second victim. The wound across her neck was so gaping that you sensed if you lifted her the head would detach. Her skin had paled as well. She looked more like a mannequin than a human being. Or maybe that was yet another defense mechanism. Maybe it was easier to think of them as objects, at least while you were looking at them. That was usually how the offender viewed them, too. The victim next to her was also naked, had been burned over her entire body with acid, down to her feet and hands. Most of the skin had been scalded off her face, leaving the skeleton, her eyes protruding from the bone in a ghoulish stare. She would have to be